Hi everyone, Namaste. I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to video 4. And I just really appreciate everyone taking the time out to watch my videos and also comment and give your thoughts and your suggestions. I honestly, I do really appreciate all the comments, or appreciate your time. And although some comments have been quite challenging to respond to, I do understand where you're coming from, and it's given me some thoughts and ideas on further videos as well. But I'll touch on that a little bit later. Sorry about that. It is getting really warm these days, so I did have my fan going. I realized that you may not be able to hear me very clearly, so I'll switch that off. Apologize if I start melting. Yeah, so today's video, I guess I just want to kind of touch on some of the terminology, or some new terms that we're coming across these days, when with a lot of these discussions happening more often, more frequently, and more in the mainstream now. So one of them is actually, I'll just go straight into it, is cisgendered. Now the meaning, the prefix cis actually comes from Latin, and it means sorry about that. Yeah, so cis comes from Latin, which means on this side, as opposed to trans, which means on the other side or beyond. So you have cisgendered and transgendered. Now, cisgendered pretty much refers to the birth that you, or the sex that you were assigned at birth. So that would be male or female. So a doctor would assign a sex at birth. This was actually first used in 1994. I didn't know that, but yeah, it's been around for quite some time. But yeah, as we are now seeing a blow up of all of the trans issues, and especially because it's entering into our own personal spaces now, as well as public spaces. For example, like I mentioned last week, gender neutral toilets in schools, and in the public fitting rooms, and there's others. So we are now coming across these terms a lot more. Another one is gender fluid. Now, gender fluid basically means that there is no definite gender. So or that gender is on a scale. So you will have masculine and feminine, and you could be anywhere in between. And what we're finding is that some people are finding themselves being gender fluid, meaning that they are somewhere on that spectrum, and that could change. I don't, as they please, or as they feel, and I personally don't understand that. And from being at school, being taught that there are two genders. Gender isn't even a thing, actually. There are, gender is a word that was used to on forms and so on, instead of the word sex, because actually in English, sex can mean two different things. So not only whether you're male or female, but also it's a verb for procreation. So yes, we have that word gender, which now people are saying is not the same as sex, but trying to rewrite um, rewrite the dictionary, I think. Um, Also, you have men and women. So I think we know what men and women are. So a man is a adult male human, and a woman is an adult female human. Um, I'm, that I feel like the with how so many trans issues, and there are so many, there's so many entitlements that are coming up from the trans community. I feel actually that, women are being kind of moved out of the way, to accommodate for transgenders, and that is not fair. Now, why do I say that? I say that because, trans trans women want to use the women's bathroom, or women's toilets, women's changing rooms, um, even enter into women's sports and things like that. It's really, really taking um, safety issues and safeguarding issues and kind of almost throwing it out of the window. And the other side of the argument is, yes, trans women also they've suffered abuse and violence and things like that, which, everybody everyone does. Children do, men do, elderly. It's everybody at some point will, not everybody, apologies, but every group of people will experience some sort of um, attack, in a way, and feel very vulnerable, and will require safety measures to be put in place. And this is what we have at the moment, and it's being compromised, and it's very dangerous because, if I mention again gender neutral toilets in schools, the fact that this notion that, there are no threats out there is silly, really, because what will happen is, if you're encouraging young girls to not question why there is a man in the female, or sorry, why there is a man in their space, in their private space, where they are doing something which is very personal and private, then, they will then grow up to also not be aware of a potential threat. And so in my eyes, that is a form of grooming, and, this is where it is incredibly dangerous. So we're also having, sort of the word woman being taken out of certain areas, like, for example, in documents or leaflets regarding cervical cancer, or you no longer have the word woman in there. You will have cervix havers. I've written a couple of these down because, it really is quite bizarre. It's quite strange. It's like, why not just say the word woman? You have chest feeders, menstruators, pregnant people. What's wrong with the word woman? Woman, it's natural for women to do these things. Natural for biological women to do these things. Now, going back to, groups of people, all, different groups of people at some point or another feeling vulnerable, needing some security or, safety measures put in place. We have had women's rights movements. Dangerous for me to mention this because I may get, some challenging comments to respond to later. But the women equality and basically various movements which women have fought for their safety and their security in public spaces, and also the same with the LGB community. They've also done the same. They've fought a lot for their rights and to be accepted in in society. And guys, trans people, please do the same. Fight for your own spaces. Why compromise? Young women and girls, this is what is going to go against you. Fight for your trans sports and toilets, changing rooms, shelters, prisons, these sorts of things. Stop taking away women's and young children's safe spaces, and it really isn't fair. And for us to speak up about it, it's not transphobic. There's nothing transphobic about it. We're not afraid of trans people. We're afraid of the predators and the opportunists that will take advantage of these new allowances that transgender people are potentially gaining. For example, if a man who clearly has the wrong intentions towards women or young children is to, dress up and go into those spaces and, fulfill their sick objective, how do we defend ourselves in that situation? We can't question why they are there because they've been given that permission. We've got to think about this in a much more logical way and stop trying to take over spaces which are there for other people. Please do continue to fight your fight and get your own spaces, but leave the children out of it. And it really shouldn't it shouldn't even be a thing. No one should even have to say it. It should be nature. Children are innocent. Let them have their innocence. Let them enjoy themselves and not get confused and be confused as children as to what they are. Don't let them be confused as young youngsters, teenagers. Why are we trying to develop a society of confused people? There's got to be a different answer to all of this. But let me know what your thoughts are. I do really think that the answer to this is that, trans people, as I've said in previous videos, this whole issue is not going to just suddenly disappear. And we do need answers, or they need answers. They need somewhere. And so I think the answer is going to be, you just need your own spaces. Saying that schools don't have enough money to have a boys' toilets and a girls' toilets, therefore they are going to save money by making gender neutral toilets and putting safeguarding on the back burner, is not a good enough answer. It really isn't. So go back to the drawing board and think about what really is important. And this inclusive this inclusiveness. Yeah, I agree. Yes, we should be, you know, tolerant and inclusive, but not at the expense of others. So, you know, please do bear that in mind. Um, I do, you know, one of the other things I want to come back to, that I mentioned at the beginning was, you know, I'm kind of, touching on something which is almost like, te- toxic feminism. And you know, there was one of the videos where I mentioned about the feminist movement back in the 1850s. And you know, that at the time, you know, there was an agenda. And the where it has moved to now is somewhere completely different. And what I don't quite understand is how, you know, the feminists of today are really backing the trans movement, because uh, trans, you know, what it is, it's actually taking away from biological women who have fought this fight for, um, you know, decades. Again, please do tell me what you think. Am I barking up the wrong tree? Um, it is a risky topic. I understand. But yeah, I think I think I've kind of touched on it now. So let's see what your thoughts are. And I will see you again soon. Take care, guys. Lots of love. Bye.